Hey everybody, it's Nikki Lerner here. How you doing? Today, I want to share with you why diversity efforts fail in organizations. Monocultural organizations are usually so monocultural that they have a blind spot. They don't even realize how monocultural they actually are. And then they have this blind spot. But then when somebody comes along and says, hey, you have a blind spot, then what happens is that then they feel ashamed and embarrassed about it and end up not asking for help. Or on the other side, they just don't care anymore. And then they don't call someone like me to come help. Senior executives in organizations usually cannot name what is actually broken when it comes to cultural diversity work. But then what happens is once an executive actually figures out what the problem is, then that person or that team of people actually thinks that they know how to fix it. And then they never ask for help. Here's the thing to know is that oftentimes monocultural principles that may have worked in a monocultural setting may no longer work in your new multicultural vision and framework. And it's very important to know that how you've been operating before, what got you here won't get you there in your multicultural organization. So make sure that you reach out for help. Leaders and senior executives always want to control the process because that's what they're used to. And then when they hire a diversity coach or a diversity consultant, they don't trust the process. Oftentimes leaders want to just start with doing. What are we going to do? What is the strategy? And oftentimes the coach knows a better process of trying to establish the why. So if you're a leader and you want to see change in culture work, make sure you trust the process and try not to control the process. When an organization or a team starts to make some changes around diversity, starts to put some things, policies in place, we usually just don't communicate enough. I know for me, as a leader, there have been seasons of my leadership life where, I have talked about a vision or talked about a mission and told my team about it and said it twice. And then I think everybody's got it. Right? Leaders can think like this sometimes. We can think, well, certainly everybody knows why we're doing things around here. Don't ever assume that. Particularly if you're jumping into culture work for the very first time, make sure that you communicate more frequently than you even think you do. Make sure that you don't lean into things like, well, people don't care, or everybody knows, or people are already ahead, or people won't read my email, they don't care, they're overwhelmed. All of these excuses. Don't allow those things to make you as a leader not communicate. When you're going into new diversity efforts, when you're doing new things around culture work, you want to make sure that you communicate frequently so that your people know what's going on at all times. If you don't connect why you're doing what you're doing to a greater sense of why your organization or your company or your team or your faith community exists in the first place, then oftentimes it can lead to the tokenization of people who are in the minority culture. And that's whether that is minority with regards to ethnicity, minority with regards to gender, minority with regards to sexual orientation. No matter what it is, if we don't provide proper framing and context, the chance for the effort to fail goes way up. This is one of those things that people assume that people in their organization always know. Every time I go and ask people that work for an organization, what is the mission? What is the vision? What are the values? How do you operate around here? I usually get crickets. Right. Crickets. People don't know what the stated mission, vision, values are. In order to do really good diversity work, you always have to tie it back to something that is meaningful and tie it back to something that is familiar to the people in your organization so that they have context and framing for their work. Sometimes what can happen is, depending on how the board of your organization functions, you could have really good strategy, really good plans down at a staff level or a leadership level, and then by the time it runs its way up the chain in your organization, it'll get bottlenecked by a group of directors, board of directors, who are not sold into the mission of what you are trying to change. So in order to make sure that your effort does not fail, find a way to creatively involve your board of directors. When leaders start to make changes around culture, to start naming things and defining things, there's always going to be a segment of people there in your organization. Now, communities of faith actually experience this the most. There's going to be a group of people that don't like the change, and the people that don't want things to be changed. And so if you're not careful as a leader, as a senior leader, you will spend all of your time, all of your leadership energy trying to pacify people who are angry. Coffees, lunches, emails, whatever it is, you will spend all of your time and all of your energy around how do we make sure people aren't mad, instead of looking at who are the people that are all in. Who are the people that are saying, yes, we're so excited about this change, or yes, let's move forward. Yes, I've been waiting to do that. You will ignore them because they are probably not going to be the loudest people in your organization that they're all in. The loudest people will be the people who have a problem with it. And so just saying this to watch your back as your coach here, right? Make sure that you don't spend all of your leadership energy and all of your leadership time pacifying people who are not with you and will never be with you as you are trying to make changes. We are so used to the way that we are used to seeing how success has come to us in the past that we can be afraid to try a new way of being. And you have to know that when you jump into culture work, you're gonna have to try some new things, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable, and it's gonna feel, you're gonna worry about it, and you're gonna wonder if it's gonna work. But you have to know that staying and doing things the way that you've always done them will not bring you the new results that you are looking for when it comes to culture work. So don't be afraid. Things have to change, and it's time for a new way to do things. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you need some help, remember, I'm a culture coach. I'm here to help you. I'm here to step in with you and walk with you along the journey. So hit me up, check out nikkilerner.com, shoot me an email, and let's start working together. Looking forward to it.